Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another production meeting. We have lots of DC news today. We're reviewing a movie, some Star Wars news, and some James Bond news. But first, what have you been doing, sir?
It's funny you say because as I was kind of jotting down my notes, I was like, I've been doing a little bit of everything. And by a little bit of everything, like not just watching a bunch of different stuff. I mean, like I am currently I was like, you know what? I want to read some like notable literature now. So I am currently starting to read all the Harry Potters. I am a few chapters into the very first one, so hooray me. So you can see all the differences where they're like, oh, I don't remember this character. They didn't include this character in the movie, and so on and so on. So I'm doing that. I am restarting my playthrough of Final Fantasy 16 that I had originally played when it first launched, but didn't get too far into it. So I'm starting that, and game's a lot simpler than I remember it because I remember the first like big boss being super tough. Like I just barely got through it, and then like this time I'm like done. I don't know. Maybe I'm just paying attention more to like the in-game hints and all that. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm gonna let my exploration take over a little bit more on that before I start giving my review a little bit more on Final Fantasy. Like I'll play a little bit more and then kind of get my feelings on that um in a later video. So that's what I'm currently. So I'm reading, I'm playing, and then currently watching on a consistent level the Castlevania series. I've been mentioning that in the last probably two videos. I am on the beginning of season four. Um, it's how would I say this? It's a decent story. The pacing is a little iffy, I would say. It's a little slower than I would hope. Um, but it is very interesting characters. Alucard is a very I wish he had more screen time. I'd love to learn a little bit more about him. Um, but and apparently I think this is the last of the regular season of Castlevania, and then it goes Nocturne, correct? So I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like there should be more of this if it was just paced a little bit better. But maybe that it's a good thing. But so I'm almost done with that, and then once I do that, Ashley and I both will be starting on Nocturne soon. So I'm hopefully thinking either sometime tonight after our meeting, we'll be starting on that, and then working on that, and then or starting it tomorrow when I got off of work. So yeah, that's what I'm currently watching, and then the I did the homework for today. Our main review did that begrudgingly over the weekend. um, I don't think I did anything else. I'm attempting to watch There Will Be Blood, and Prisoners,
All right.
soon. So hopefully I'll have those done before our next video. Um, yeah, I don't think I watched anything else like significantly, like as in like not watching it just to go to sleep, you know. So I think that's it. What have you done?
So I've taken a chapter out of your book and I've actually watched or played a few things. So I played a little bit of the show 23. That's dope. I like that one. Um, I played a little bit of Assassin's Creed Mirage. That's kind of boring.
Yeah,
So I
I
put that
heard
down.
that that was good gameplay, a kind of blah story.
Yeah, yeah. I think I was trying to pass the time until the next one comes out, but I had to put it down.
Okay.
I have to free up some from space on my PS5. So I finally played through. I was putting it off because I already played this when it first came out, um, back in like '96 or whatever, whenever it came out. But I went back through Resident Evil 2, the remake.
Ah,
Um, I actually like this version a little bit better. maybe because of the graphics a little bit smoother, and it's like Resident Evil 4, where it's like over the shoulder. So you're kind of like following, like it's almost a first person point of view, but you're watching stuff. So I'm kind of interested, I'm kind of intrigued to either pick up the remake of 3 and 4, though I don't know if I want to do 4 because 4 is my favorite one. I don't
I've
know.
heard that the remake for 4 is really, really good.
Really? Okay.
Maybe the original is what I'm hearing is really good, but I mean, why not? Check it. You know what? Keep talking, and I'm gonna look up thoughts
So
on it.
so I'm going through that. I finished Leon's story, so I'm going back through for Claire's story because they split the stories up. Where I think in the original game, if I remember correctly, they actually intertwined the stories. So they split them up. Now I'm going back through as Claire, but I'm making space for Last of Us because I keep trying to the one that I borrowed from you. Thank you very much, by the way.
You are
Um,
welcome.
I wanted to play like I keep starting Last of Us, and I keep getting to the point where they're starting to leave, and I don't finish it. So I want to like actually like play and finish The Last of Us. So I'm hoping that the
Oh, have you
graphics is
never played it all the way through?
not all the way through.
Oh, dude, it's a great
Actually,
part. One is fabulous, fabulous.
um, no, I remember getting to the point where like he like don't you shoot people like upside down? Is that a different game?
Um,
Or you
I
go
don't
into like
recall.
don't you go
I
into
don't
like
know.
a building at night?
I don't remember that part.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I don't know. Not to deviate from that, but Resident Evil 4 um has gotten pretty good reviews. The remake, because
Really?
that was a 2023 release.
Yeah.
General audience score is 4.7 out of 10. Now, IGN gave it a 10 out of 10. So, I mean, take that for what you will. So I don't think you're walking into, I mean, general audience score is probably the more important of the two, and I think you're walking into a good situation there. So I think you probably will want to invest time in that.
Okay. I'll do that. I think the sale is still going on this week. I think I seen it on there for like $20.
Solid.
So yeah. So fingers crossed. Anyway, I also watched on my lunch breaks, I've been watching the Tomb Raider animated series on Netflix, and that's not bad.
Hmm.
It continues the storyline from the new Survivor trilogy games for the last three games that they released. So it follows that storyline. It's not bad. It's not as good as Castlevania, but it's not bad.
You know, I've played, I think, two of the three recent Tomb Raider games. There, whatever the whatever the first one was, I think it was just literally called Tomb Raider. That one I couldn't play because of the graphics in there were just so like it's more like the lighting, like the shadows created such a fuzzy thing for me that I just was like, I can't, I just can't. And
Hmm.
I'm not like a snob for games. I literally just like I'm like this is kind of making me sick here. Um,
Wow.
so I didn't play that one. What is so there was the second Tomb Raider, not Shadows of the Tomb Raider, but I can't remember what the second one was. But whatever
Rise.
that one is, yes, that one's a really, really solid game. I highly recommend if you never did play those, you probably could just step into that one, no problem. I mean, because that's what I did, and you can play that easily. And then Shadows, it's kind of like, yeah, you could play that no problem. And then the Shadows is kind of like it's just more or less a continuation, and it's just not as good in my opinion. It's fair, it's not great. Yeah. Yeah. So it's
Still in the
it's a
wrapper.
solid. Yeah. The middle one's solid. The second one's not bad or anything. It's just it's more like just a fair territory. So like continuing off of those stories because that would mean continuing off the last one. I was like, this last one's kind of like,
Yeah.
nah.
It's I mean, it's a different, yes, it's a different story. It just kind of continues the characterization of her because I guess there's going to be two seasons so far of this animated show, and like, it's not horrible, like it's not bad,
Mhm.
but like it's supposed to bridge the gap between these games and then the original games for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah. I'll probably get around to those because I've been like this. Like I said, the show's not bad. Like the animation is a little wonky every once in a while, but they like it's supposed to be. Um, it's decent.
Okay.
It's like one of those. It's like one of those shows that if you like see it, fine. If not, I don't think you're losing much. All right. Um, should we go on to the news? Big news this week,
Absolutely. There's a
actually.
truck full of it. Yep,
It is
absolutely.
a trunk full of it. Yes. So let's start off. I hate to do the bad news first, but I don't know if, depending on what kind of Star Wars fan you are, we're going to start Star Wars news first. Kathleen Kennedy is going to step down as head of Lucasfilms at the end of 2025. Again, I know that I've asked for this a while ago, so I'm not sad, but I don't want
It's
anybody.
a bitter, it's not so much a bittersweet moment. It's you you know it everybody knew that it needed to go into more capable hands. You don't want somebody to lose their job because of it. But it's just it got to that point. And I think that's what we're not celebrating somebody losing their job.
No.
We're celebrating that and I mean the mass majority, vast majority of Star Wars fans, like even myself, I consider myself a casual Star Wars fan. Um, I mean, it's not been a great set of projects for since Disney took over, in my opinion. It's just like there are some good parts. I mean, Mandalorian's great, Rogue One's great. Um, Force Awakens isn't bad, and the other two part of the trilogy, is whatever. And they have so many there's yeah, there's a lot that you can say are good, but it just like it's we're getting more bad than good. So I think it's just finally a recognition that something needed to have changed to it's just a change of winds kind of deal. And again, it's not because we're celebrating her losing her
No, not
job.
at all.
It's like when it's more like, oh, hey, Dave Filoni is, taking over on this part. And it's like we all know how well Clone Wars and all his stuff is. So it's just like, this is just a refreshing kind of thing. So it's good news. It's more good news, and it's not like she got fired or anything. She's just stepping
Right.
down.
Yes. As far as we the public know, she is just stepping down. And like I said, it's not that I wanted this and like I begged for this, but like you said, I did see this coming. I do think that they needed a change in Lucasfilms because I mean, like they're like you said, they're like we've had TV projects. We haven't had any movies since 2019, and
Yeah, really.
that was what, 6 years ago?
Yeah, I
Around
mean, we
six
have no
years?
slated project for. I mean, I think there's a Mandalorian movie right somewhere at the end of this year, but that doesn't count.
That's May of next year.
May of next year. Yeah, see,
Hmm.
okay, that's even more. So I was like, yeah, so that doesn't even technically count.
Yeah, I mean because like that's the only one that is like has a specific release date. I think it's like May 26th of 2026,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken. But like the new Daisy Ridley movie, that doesn't have a date. I don't even know if it has a start date, like a production start date,
I don't
because
think it does.
I think that they've just hired like a new writer. The X-Wing movie, the Rogue Squadron movie, is now back on the table, but they don't have a release date for that. And then there's rumors flying around about a new trilogy happening. And then Sean Levy has like a Star Wars movie coming that it was supposedly. Remember we talked about hiring Ryan
Yeah.
Gosling,
Yep.
but that was it. Um, I know that Celebration is this year in Tokyo or in Japan, so maybe they have some news come Celebration.
When does
but
that happen?
April, April of this year.
So not too far.
Yeah. So maybe they'll have some news in April about stuff that's coming, but as far as I know, that's it. No TV shows, no, I mean, Skeleton Crew just ended. So
Hmm.
the next thing I know is coming next year. So I don't know. It's kind of weird. I take that back because I just looked because Andor is coming out this year. So they do have a TV show coming out. Which did you see the trailer? The trailer dropped.
So I did, but I didn't. I was like I didn't because I was like I never watched Andor 1 because I got such mixed like some people liked it, some people were like I wouldn't bother with this. So I was like, I mean, you'll have to lead the way on whether this is good or not.
I think it's a good thing. If you like Rogue One, I'd watch this. Um, I can't remember how many episodes it is, but I do know that it's only going to be the two seasons because this second season is supposed to lead up to the events of Rogue One.
Okay.
So if you liked Rogue One, it's by all the same people with Diego Luna coming back as Andor casting Andor. And so it takes place in that pre-Rebel era. So if you
Well,
like
I
all
mean,
that
Rogue
stuff,
One is single-handedly the best, I think. And, this might just be my opinion, the best thing Star Wars related that Disney has produced.
yes.
So I think I'll at some point invest some time in that. So, but that's good that it's a quick like 1, 2 season kind of.
Hmm.
All right, because how many seasons is the first? How many episodes is the first season?
Oh my gosh.
Like, I was gonna
10 maybe?
if I yeah, I was gonna say usually ballpark 8 or 10. So,
Let's
and
find
are
out.
they hour-long episodes? Or are they half hour?
Yeah. Yeah, they're
Okay,
hour long.
so yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Um,
12.
okay. So, I mean, it sounds like it's a good thing because I mean, what do you got to lose if you're only going to go this far? It's like,
Yeah.
so sounds like good
Anyway.
stuff.
Yeah. It's I thought it's a very decent, it's a very good show. Um and Andy Serkis is in it for some random
Oh,
reason.
that's always a plus.
That is a plus. Okay, but so yes, so along with Lucasfilms changing bosses, we don't know who's going to become the new head of Lucasfilms. There are a lot of obvious rumors about Filoni taking over, Jon Favreau taking over. I would like to see one of those two take over, even though I think Filoni is still like over the creative side of Star Wars and stuff. I think like he gets the final say in a lot of stuff that happens. So I don't know if he wants to take on the role of being like the face of Lucasfilms, but I think that he already kind of is. I mean, a lot of people kind of like look to him to like guide Lucasfilms, and I think that it would probably be just a kind of a no-brainer, but who knows? Um, moving on. So some Harry Potter news, actually. John Lithgow has been cast as Dumbledore in the new Harry Potter series. Cool.
Yes, I thought about that and I was like, you know what? I don't 100% think that that's the greatest choice, but it's an interesting choice. I think he's of that age where he could, whereas like if this was like, let's say 15 years ago, if he was doing the role, it would almost come off as goofy. But not, I mean, because he's a well-known actor and he's a well-established actor. So I like this more than I dislike this.
Hmm.
So I think I could get by this, and I think he turned in a decent performance in Conclave last year. So I mean, not that that's super one to one, but it's a decent casting choice, and I look forward to it. I'm always of the like unless it's a slam dunk, like oh dude that person was totally meant for this. I will always be like, well, let me shop it around a little bit. Who do I have? And that's the case here. I think it's interesting. I think it's a good. When is the series supposed to like see the light of day? Because I am
I would
wondering.
ima
Let's see. Go
I
ahead.
would
I'm sorry.
imagine I would imagine that you're not going to see the first season until 2027. Late 2026,
Yeah.
2027.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds about right. Okay. At least it's next year, so
Yeah,
that's good and
because
all.
I mean because they just cast a Dumbledore, which I'm more of a fan of the books than I am of the movies.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I know this is probably a controversial thing that like he's not English because I know that the movies like made sure that it was in English, like they were like British cast. So I
Oh
know that
yeah.
like him not being British is probably going to be like a knock towards the show. But like you said, like it's not a bad casting. I don't think that I mean, they probably could have done worse than John Lithgow,
Hmm.
um, but they just cast a Dumbledore, so that's pretty important cast. I don't think that they've cast Maggie Smith's character. What was her name? McGonagall.
Oh,
I don't. I
yeah,
don't.
McGonagall.
I don't think that they've cast McGonagall. I know that they cast Snape. It was an African American gentleman, um, and somebody else, like a couple minor teachers. So, but they haven't like cast the like the big three yet. So,
Hmm.
and that's gonna be like the most telling is when they cast those three. Like when those three are set in stone, and then it would probably be like a few months later when they actually go into production. And because it's such a heavy CGI production, I would give it like once they go into production, I give it another year and some change before you see the first season.
Hmm. Yep.
So, um, any more thoughts on John Lithgow being cast as Dumbledore?
Yeah. Yeah.
All good?
Yeah. I think so.
Okay. Bad news for Wonder Woman games got canceled. Boo hoo.
Uh, yeah, I know. I was like, I mean, I'm so torn because the last movie left such a sour taste in our mouth, even though it was what 4 years ago, 5 years ago. Can't remember now.
Five?
Yeah, it was during
Yeah.
COVID-ish time, and that was such a bad movie. That I don't know if anybody's gonna miss out on a game. So, but the idea of a Wonder Woman game is very cool too. So it is a little disappointing that we don't get that. I'm hoping it's a not canceled. It's just these people aren't doing it anymore. Like this group of collection of guys at Warner Brothers is not taking it on anymore. Because they can always revive it. They can just, it's put over here until we figure it out. So I'm always that optimistic kind of guy. But at the end of the day, I don't think a huge amount of people are losing sleep over this. So
Yeah.
but yeah, it is a little disappointing. Like, oh man, that'd be cool. I'd love to play a Wonder Woman game. If it were Final Fantasy-ish or something like that, I'd be totally down for that. That'd be cool. You get to explore, what is it, Amazonia and all that. So
Mascara.
that would be all that stuff would be cool. And then, you know, if it caught good like amount of press, then you're talking about like a you know video game universe kind of deal where like okay this did well so let's kind of go with I don't know an Aquaman game and hell heck let's do not a Nightwing game a Green Lantern game um I'm sure one of those already exists but not like in a like super good way, not like a cheesy, just like movie way.
Oh, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's I'm a video game guy, so I'm always like we always want projects, but it's always sad when something gets canceled. But we'll move on.
I will be remiss if I did not mention that there is a rumor that the Rocksteady is going to make a Batman Beyond game in the sense of like the Arkham games. I would be down for that. I think that'd be a cool game, but
I
I
think we all want
believe,
that.
yeah, I believe it's just a rumor. Especially after the backlash of the Suicide Squad game. So I heard that was really
Well,
bad.
that's not so much like nobody wants to see that content. It's don't make it a looter shooter. Like that's it. I think Suicide Squad ended up being a live service game, if I'm not mistaken. I never played an ounce of it
I,
because I heard it just sucked. But it's
mhm.
because of the direction they took it in. And, is the story, I don't know. Nobody said, I never heard anything really about the story because everybody was just so bogged down by like the gameplay. And I'm like, well, there you go.
Right.
If you make a crappy like concept of a gameplay style, it doesn't matter what your story is. Like nobody wants to bear through all that.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, and then like Gotham Knights didn't do very well either, but I don't know if that was Rocksteady or not. It was supposed to be in like the
I
same
don't
vein, wasn't it?
know. I think it was well, that was more of like a how would I don't even know how you would describe that, but it's like where you kind of if you can control like multiple characters like in a party or something like that. I don't remember exactly. It's not like a straightforward like story driven game at all. It's like I don't know how you would describe that, but whatever. It's the same deal. It's like the way they took that. And I remember I had that pre-ordered like with the collector's edition, and I was like, you know what? Something tells me that this is not going to be that great. And so I opted out of it and I never played it. And I think I was wise to do that, to not have spent all that money on it. Because there's just it's like, all right, we have this content, it's great. The gameplay style needs to change from this to this. Like I I'm a PlayStation guy like 90% of the time. I mean, I play Nintendo stuff too, but like I'm very much into single player story games, and that's essentially what the Arkham games are. We want
Yeah.
more of that. We want story driven games. So just like why is that such a hard concept? Let's do that and let's just write a movie and then let's just make it so that you can control the player or the player controls the main character. Why is that such
Right.
a hard concept? I don't know.
Who knows? Who knows? Anyway, moving on. Um, I don't know how much like okay. So Amazon has taken full creative control over James Bond, the licensing and the movie rights and stuff like that from James Bond from the Broccoli family. Um, I this is a very weird and very kind of like maybe hypocritical view of this that I have. I don't like this at all. I don't like this at all. Um, because it's going to give Amazon, I don't know the whole specifics, and I don't think that they will ever know the whole specifics, but I do know that the Broccoli family and Barbara Broccoli and her producing partners had kind of stepped down away from and gave Amazon the control over James Bond. Um, I know that I was like an advocate for Disney taking over Marvel, and see how well they did. I was also an advocate for Disney taking over Star Wars, because of the content being so limited. And I think that like Marvel, like Disney doing with Marvel and with Star Wars, I think that like it has its drawbacks having a big company take over like an IP like this. It has its drawbacks, obviously, with all of the content that you have to follow with Marvel. And if you don't get like certain story beats from certain things, you're not going to know what happens in the movies and what certain characters are in the movies and like all this other stuff. And I know that they like recently they have come away from that a little bit. Um, but like with Disney and Star Wars, like they're putting out stuff. They were putting out stuff so fast to get all the Star Wars stuff out there, and it wasn't doing it quality, doing the quality any justice. Um, as far as this goes, I don't like this. I mean, especially at like that same day Jeff Bezos came out and was like, "Who do you want to be cast as James Bond?" Okay, like that's something that like the Broccoli family took great pride in, and they
Hmm.
cast all of the James Bonds themselves, and like them and their producing partners, like they did like a rigorous search on these James Bonds to get it just right. And for Jeff Bezos to go like not 24 hours later and have like the fans cast James Bond is not like looking good for Amazon. Um, I just I don't know. This gives me
There's,
bad juju.
I think, yeah, there's kind of two schools of thought. There's, so I think the whole transaction itself, it's just like, it makes it seem more like content than lore, you know? It's because James Bond has been first film came out in like the early 60s, right?
63.
Uh, yeah. And so it's like, it's a long time. This is what, like 50, 60 years? Yeah, 60 plus years worth of like one IP, one character. Um,
62. Sorry.
so it's like, so because Amazon is so big and it just is like, it almost gives it an impersonal feel. Whereas you said, the Broccoli family, they have that, it was theirs, and then they kind of made it something special. Like there's really never like a truly bad James Bond film. It's always just like, ones are just okay or that wasn't as good kind of deal. So there's it makes it feel impersonal. And then the other thought is that, it's simply just the changing of hands. Regardless of who it's going to, it just feels like bad for the original owner not to retain it. And so, and then there's like even the third thought of, this may there could be the idea, and I'm sure this is floating around with there being a James Bond series as opposed to being, on a screen. And I've read the outrage. Well, not outrage. I don't know if that's too strong a word, but like people are saying, no, Bond is a like big screen name. Like you can't like and I try to struggle or I don't try to struggle. I struggle with like, yes, I agree that he is a big screen theatrical release character. Like that's deserved. Is it bad if they do something series related? I I'm I'm not like pushing for it, but I'm not also like against it completely just because of the time we live in. I mean, who knows? There could be a James Bond that could be kind of like Reacher. That could be, like what's the one with Krasinski?
Jack Ryan.
Uh, Jack Ryan. And so not to say that those are, fabulous, 100%, I because I've never watched either of them. I can't really give an opinion. But I'm saying like it could work if the right people are involved and the right writers are involved. So I don't blame you for disliking this because there's so much uncertainty. We're fearful of the unknown. And because James Bond is such a long-standing character, it feels not like a betrayal. That's not the right word, but it just feels like off to have somebody of the not original family own it. And Amazon is such a big company that they're kind of like the Disney, but of commerce, and they can kind of just do whatever they want. and that's what we're truly fearful of. They can do whatever they want.
Right.
They can recast and do this and take James Bond totally into an area where the character doesn't like his characteristics, no pun intended, are not traditional. Like he's not the suave, kind of blah 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 and all this and that and what the character what makes him him. And I think that's just what we're so fearful of. I mean, all we can do, I mean, such, all of us little guys over here can only just sit and
Right.
watch. And so we can just voice our opinion and we just hope for the best because it's such a big move. Because Amazon's standards, I think, are of a higher, like, they have higher standards. I am less scared and more of like cautiously not optimistic, but I'm like, I'm all right. You don't have my distrust, but let's just see what happens kind of here. So it'll be interesting moving forward. I don't know. Yeah, I'm on the fence on whether or not this truly has me disliking everything involved. So yeah, I mean, I completely get you. Because you have more exposure to James Bond. One, just being a little bit older, and then two, you've seen probably all of them, haven't you? So I've seen only like all the Daniel Craig's ones and maybe one of Roger Moore's.
Wow.
That's it. So I don't have any really true like massive exposure other than those, few ones. So this would affect you more as a moviegoer than me. I Yeah, I mean, all we can do is say, time will tell. And I have better feelings that they know that this is a good IP. They know that this is something that's beloved by many people. Um, and I don't think they'll just kind of haphazardly go and do, all right, hey, you wrote stuff, come on in, just whatever, and just get. I have confidence in that team that their standards are high enough where they will have the right people involved. Maybe that's being a little too naive. I don't know, but I'm hopeful that that will be the case.
All right. Well, at least you're hopeful.
Yeah.
Um, so moving on to some DC news, some DCU news. James Gunn and Peter Safran sat down and gave some updates on things that were coming up with the DCU, with Superman coming out this year. So they wanted to give some stuff. Uh, so they had released that there was a new Starfire and Green Lantern animated shows coming, which I'm very excited about.
Hmm.
Um, especially the My Adventures with Green Lantern, because it looks like it's in the style of the My Adventures with Superman. So if it is in that style, I'm like super excited because like I love that show. That is a good show. It is a anime style kind of Superman, and they do little twists of Superman's story and everything, his origins and whatever. So it is a little bit different, but I love Jack Quaid as Superman. I love the voice cast and I love the animation style. So it being like an anime type, like almost Last Airbender. It looks a little bit more like the Last Airbender, actually. Um, so that being said, excited for that. What else is coming out? They did announce that James Watkins, who directed Speak No Evil, the one that the American, I shouldn't say, is it the American remake?
Oh,
American remake.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say you got me.
The one with James McAvoy. He's going to direct the Clayface movie from a script from Mike Flanagan. Um, the Clayface movie is going to be a part of the DCU, so it's going to be in the main continuity.
Hmm.
Um, and James Gunn has said that he stated that he would like two live action movies, one animated movie, two live action series, and two animated series for Max to be released every year. So that's
So
seven
quite the
things.
lineup.
Yes, quite the lineup from the DCU. Um, I don't know if Gunn is going to oversaturate because I know that he had said when he had taken over that he didn't want to kind of push things out just to push stuff out. And I don't know if he's kind of going back on what he said, um, releasing that much stuff a year. So I don't know. But then again, like I don't know if that's just DCU stuff because there's like a couple of continuities going on at the same time. So I don't know. I don't know if it's like what all that's going to look like. But there is some like updates on the DC Studios projects that are coming up. Superman obviously is in the editing process, which will be coming out in July. Supergirl, they started film production or filming principal photography back in January. And it's based on the Women of Tomorrow comic book series or comic book run. Um, so I'm really excited about that. That's a very good it's a very good series. Peacemaker season two just recently wrapped, it says. Probably will be delayed. It will debut this August, probably late August. Um, as far as the Clayface stuff goes, cameras are set to roll this summer. So it's going to start filming this summer. It's going to be an amazing body horror film, I guess, which
Hmm.
kind of makes sense because Clayface is kind of, um, I mean, if you watch the original, like the Batman animated series, you kind of get the gist of like who Clayface is. So that's actually kind of exciting to see. I do know that like I also do know that like James Gunn has come out and said that the Clayface is going to be like a horror movie. It is going to be rated R. Like it is going to be like a serious thing. So that's exciting. The Brave and the Bold, which is the Batman project for the regular DCU, is coming out. It says it's in active development. Um, so with the script currently being written, while Gunn didn't name the writer, he said, "I'm working very closely with the writer on The Brave and the Bold, and the script is really good so far." So if you don't know what The Brave and the Bold is, that is the series. It's a Grant Morrison series that was in the DC Comics where Batman finds out that he has a son. So that's
Uh-huh.
Damian Wayne. So that's the Damian Wayne becomes Robin. Ooh, okay. The Batman Part Two. He said Matt Reeves has hasn't turned into full script yet, but what they've read is incredibly encouraging, according to Saffron. He also added that it's very unlikely that Robert Pattinson's Batman will become the Batman of the DCU,
Uh-huh.
um, which is a good thing. To speak briefly on that, I think that's a good thing. I think having Robert Pattinson's Batman being a separate thing and a different continuity or a different universe, whatever, is a good thing because I like just seeing the trailers from like this Superman movie, and like kind of getting the vibe of what James Gunn wants the DCU to be seems a lot different from Matt Reeves' Batman and his that type of universe. I like both, don't get me wrong. I like Matt Reeves's like take on Batman. I'm a little bit more excited for that because it is a little darker. Like the Penguin series was extremely dark,
Uh-huh.
um, and very mature, and I loved that, Robert Pattinson's Batman, the Batman. I love that movie. I'm disappointed that this next one is not going to come out until 2027. Yeah, which is ridiculous. It's like October of 2027 now. But I'm excited that they are going to keep it separate. Um, he does say that the DCU Batman is the plan is still to introduce him in The Brave and the Bold, but he could make an appearance in other DC Studios projects. I wouldn't rule anything out, James Gunn says. He could show up in something else. Um, they did talk about Swamp Thing. Obviously, James Mangold went off to make a wonderful other film, and so the ball is really in his court, according to Saffron. So, not sure when Swamp Thing is going to come out because I think James Mangold, who was announced to be the director, is doing something else right now. I know that he just did um, A Complete Unknown.
Oh yeah, yeah.
but I'm not entirely sure what he's doing next because I could have swore that he was um his next project was kind of like a big deal.
Well, I get worried
Uh,
about him because he scorned us all with Indiana Jones, so I'm always like
that's fair.
um
Uh, maybe it's just this. Maybe it's just a complete unknown. I thought that he was doing something else. Oh, a Star Wars movie. That's right. He was announced to do a Star Wars movie too. So I don't know if he's doing Star Wars next or Swamp Thing next. Anyway, Dynamic Duo is coming out in pre-production, described as Saffron as a coming-of-age crowd pleaser being produced by Warner Brothers Animation. That is this story with Nightwing and Jason Todd, I think. I do know it's the animated series. And lastly, The Authority. Development on the project has slowed as other projects took priority. James Gunn said, out of all the other projects we had, everything is still 100% fully on track. The one that kind of got messed with was The Authority. All of the other good things that are happening is The Authority, and the script has also had a harder time coming along. So that's been part of it as well. So I do know, like the Authority, I think is like a boys-esque type of team. It kind of keeps like the villains, or they're like a bunch of villains or something. I can't remember. It's not that big of in DC unless it was had anything to do with Batman. Okay, so that's all that they kind of like the updates and like the projects that are coming from DC. I know that there's like a bunch of other stuff. I got all this information from the wrap.com. So if you go over there, and like if any of you guys out there want to go to this their website and kind of look this up, it goes on like they talk about a lot of stuff, even like his time with Marvel. So um, I'm kind of excited for the DCU. I think that like there's some exciting stuff coming from DCU right now. What do you think?
um I think James Gunn's got a good handle on things, and he's a comic book guy, so it's in good hands. So I partially me thinks, and I've gone on a rant before. I'm like, okay, we announced so many projects so ahead of time, but I get it. You have to constantly be, you got to have multiple steps ahead, otherwise, where are you stepping onto? So I get that. But and because he's a comic book guy and he's got a good track record, um, I think the fact that he's overseeing all this and he's like, okay, this is good, this is good, this is good. We're pretty much 100, like you said, 100% on track, except the authorities. I think hmm, I am most excited about the Starfire series and the Dynamic Duo. Those two are probably the outliers for me. Clayface, I
Okay.
know Clayface, but I don't know Clayface at the same time.
Hmm.
So I and that's set to start filming this summer, yeah?
Yes.
Like it's not like okay. So
Yes.
I think that that is a good like unexplored character and a theatrical, kind of sense. Because I don't remember Clayface in anything big, not to my knowledge. So, or even at all, really. So, um, at first it's a little like overwhelming, like, gosh, there's so much over there, but it's really no different than Disney doing all their stuff with their Marvel and their Pixar and so on and so on. So I think it's not so much that they're putting all their eggs in one basket in the whole James Gunn vision of everything, but it kind of is. And also another but to that, it's like I said, he's a comic book guy. He knows the lore and he's staying true to a lot of stuff. Um, Already, even just from the one Superman trailer, it is like I don't. I'm just like I'm still of the sound mind that I don't like. We don't want to announce stuff until this thing has had success. But
Hmm.
I get that you have to have projects like in the works. I get it. So it's like there's not really much that you can do. You just gotta kind of have faith that you've trusted the right people, your scripts are, being written by the right people, and you got all the right people. I am optimistic that Superman will do very well. Will it be the greatest movie? I don't know. I just don't know. If that performs well, I will feel much, much, much better about the rest of it. It's just as simple as that. That might be too simplistic. I don't know, because maybe he, I don't know. Maybe it's too simplistic. But I am more optimistic than I am like groaning on and on about there's too many projects. Um, because they've DC, they are not shying away from, they need a lot of content, and I get it. They just need the right people to put them in the right spot. So yeah, I would say the most. Oh, and then the Teen Titans, like, specific. I think, isn't
Oh yeah,
there
yeah.
like, so just Teen Titans? I think that I'm like, that's pretty good. I never did watch the whatever show. I don't know if it was called Teen Titans. There was like a sort of live actiony version of that, like a series on
Oh,
Max. I never
Titans.
caught that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never did catch that. And I heard it was fair, but it was not exactly what we were expecting, kind of deal. I don't know.
It is very much a rated R type of Titan stuff.
Yeah. And I
Um,
wouldn't get that from like a Teen Titans like thing. Like, I wouldn't get rated R from
yeah. It was very much on the mature side.
that. So,
Not, I wouldn't say it was like, there's no like sex themes or anything else like that, but like the violence and like the blood was like a thing. But I think it was decent. Like the first couple seasons were pretty good, but like I think it went for 4 seasons. I don't even think I finished the fourth season. But you are right. James Gunn has confirmed that there is a team by IGN. I'm not really sure where they got this from, but or where IGN got this from, but it does say that James Gunn confirms that there's a Teen Titans movie in early production. I don't know if it's working for a Teen Titans movie from Anna Negoria, who also wrote the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow stuff. So I
so
guess I
yeah,
don't
I
know.
mean, overall, it's good. I'm just like, are we running before we're walking, kind of deal.
But
That's all I'm saying.
see, like to kind of like argue your point though is like, but he's not. And the reason why I'm saying that is because if you look at it, like if you really look at, let's go back to this list. I think I just closed it out. I'm dumb for doing that. I did. Oops. Anyway, but there was like, yes, there's the Teen Titans project. There's Women of Tomorrow, what they've already announced. You know what I mean? When he first took over, he announced like a few of these projects. And I think that, like, in a sense, I think that he's sticking to his word because he says that he doesn't want to just throw projects out there and nothing come of
That's
it
true.
because like with Marvel they do that where they like some of the like their meetings and like um because you have those huge like the screens that they have on there like when it comes to the meetings or their like at Comic-Con or whatever and they're like look at this is our timeline for all the movie releases that we're going to make and like in 2020 36 or whatever Fantastic Four number 6 is going to come out or whatever and then they have those ones that are just like, well, Untitled Marvel Project is going to release this day, and then Marvel Project is going to release this day, and whatever. But I don't think that they actually, like with this, these are all the stuff that he's already said. I think that the announcement of the Clayface movie, Starfire and Green Lantern animated shows, and the Teen Titans stuff is the only new stuff that we've known about because, like, when he took over, those other projects, he literally said that those were the ones that he wanted to do.
That is true.
So I I completely understand what you're saying. But if you notice though, all the stuff that he's already announced is now in production.
Hmm.
So Wonder Woman or Supergirl is in production. Like they're filming right now. Clayface is going to start filming in June or whatever this summer. I don't know about Teen Titans because that was released, but they're filming like the Lantern show now, which is supposed to be released next year. So that's Green Lantern. Um, obviously the Batman stuff is the Matt Reeves' stuff. It's going through its reworks of its script. I don't know what's going on with that, but like the only thing that hasn't really gained any traction, as far as I'm concerned, is the Brave and the Bold. Like they announced that with all these other projects and all these other projects, except like I said, except for the Clayface and the two animated shows, with everything else, they should have had like their Batman and the Brave and the Bold like getting going. And that's the only thing that I kind of like that I don't understand. And I wish that that's one question that I could ask James Gunn is because it's like you have your Holy Trinity as far as DC goes. And you have one of them coming up as your first official project of the new DCU. Where are the other two? Like you have, because I know that they announced that Themyscira like show, but there's no like news on that. And so where's the other two, your Holy Trinity? And if you're waiting on like Matt Reeves to be but he's not a part of your DCU, so where's your actual Holy Trinity when it comes to the DCU? Because you're working on a bunch of projects that is kind of skirting those outliers, like the outline of like these characters, except for the one.
He's like, don't you worry about that, kid. I got
I
you.
know, I know, but Batman is my guy. So,
Yeah.
um, all right. Well, do you have any other thoughts on the DCU stuff that was announced?
N Not necessarily like new, but yeah, you know what? I think you make a good point now. I think he's, I didn't realize about all that being announced, uh, when he first kind of stepped into the position. And so now that we're actually seeing these, okay, all right, well, I mean, I'm now just worried about their actual quality. Like we're just
Right,
not so much that they're getting produced. It's just how will they turn out? That's
right.
so you put my mind a little bit more at ease, and I'm a little bit more optimistic. I was optimistic overall about everything, but now even more so. So I mean, I I think it's all in good hands, and so the whole Batman list thing, we'll see in the future. Uh,
I don't know. Yeah, that kind of
watch it.
worries me.
Watch there be some type of like. Okay, here's actually a good question. Do you want any type of like acknowledgement or hint of any kind of a Batman in your Superman movie, like at the end, like or actually in any regard, like a hint to maybe a Justice League or some type of like thing that soon, like can we just or do you want it to just focus solely on Superman?
Well, I mean, when you're introducing a a Green Lantern,
Oh,
Hawk
that's true.
Girl, Crypto, you better have like an at least like an advertisement
Okay.
for Wayne Enterprises in there.
You know what? I as I was asking it, I was like, wait a second. There are all these other characters. It would probably make
Yeah,
not any sense to not have him in there. Like it's
right.
in some. So I think I wonder if he's just kind of like laying low, and there will be some type of like post credit scene, and you see some type of like bat hinted thing.
I mean, I and what's funny is like I completely agree with what he's doing. He's kind of like dropping everybody into like this like into the middle of everything. Like he's stated that they're like the DCU's Batman is not going to have an origin story. So he's already going to be established as Batman. The Superman is not going to have an origin story. He's going to be established as Superman. So like I agree with this. Like that's why I'm like a James Gunn DCU defender. Like because people are just like I think he's doing the right thing by just kind of like dropping people into these stories and going from there because it's like everybody knows where Batman comes from, his origin story. Do we need
Hmm.
a sixth one? No. Does
Hmm.
everybody know where Superman comes from? Yes, everybody knows what Superman is. Do we need his origin story on film again? No. So just drop people into like the middle of all this stuff where he's established as this character and go from there. So
All
we'll
right,
see.
and then we'll see. Just trying to think of an outrageous one. Timothy Chalamet as Batman.
Oh my
DCU,
God.
calling it.
Sure, sure, sure.
No, you know what? I could see him being a Flash if we were. I could see him in that route. I wouldn't be
Actually,
pushing
you know
for it,
what?
but like,
Yeah,
you know what? Yeah, I mean, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I could see that. Watch that be a thing. Oh my gosh, I think it's possible we just spoke it into existence. If it's a real thing, this is where it's coming from first. I'm calling it right now. So,
Hashtag Chalamet for the Flash.
well then that's okay. Well then that opens up a slightly more discussion of, do you think that's what's going to happen at the end of Superman? Do you think that they will hint to a Batman or, anything
Um,
like that?
I honestly think that it's going to hint at Supergirl because it's a little
Okay.
bit more connected. I'm hoping, like I said, I hope that they make reference to at least Wayne Enterprises
Okay.
because I, if I remember correctly, in the comic books, I think Wayne Enterprises is like a direct competition to LexCorp. So I'm hoping that
Yeah.
with at least with Lex Luthor, he'll mention something about Wayne Enterprises or Bruce Wayne or something like that. That's what I'm hoping
Okay.
for. But as far as like a post-credit scene or something, I would bet money that it's probably towards Supergirl because I think she's actually in the movie, if
Yeah.
I'm not mistaken. So,
Okay. Well,
yeah.
cool. Good.
Yay. All right. So let's move on to our movie of the week. Um, so this week we reviewed The Monkey, directed by Oz Perkins, starring Theo James and Tatiana Tatiana Maslany. And I don't even know who the kid is, to be honest with you. Um, I don't care, actually, to be honest with you. He was a good actor. Don't get me wrong. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Like I shouldn't disrespect him like that. He was a good kid. He played really well. It
He's
didn't
part of a
make any sense.
project that is, well, you'll soon learn that this will not be, if he establishes himself as a well-known actor, this will not be the callback that we all refer to.
Okay. Yes. So all that said, this is a story about a toy monkey that gets passed on to a set of twins, named Bill and what's his name?
Ted. Just kidding.
T no. Yeah. Oh my gosh, what was it? Anyway, it doesn't matter. To Theo James, like the set of twins, and it's a toy monkey that if you wind it up and he starts playing at the very last, something tragic happens, some tragic accident happens when the monkey stops playing. And they thought that they got rid of this monkey, and 25 years later, this monkey has come back to ruin their lives. And a lot of gory chaos ensues. So that's the best way that I could probably wrap that movie up, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
that surmises it without, jumping right
Yeah.
into the meat.
So I I told you that I gave this a five when I first watched this. It wasn't, I thought that it wasn't horrible. I still stand by my five. I do think less of the movie as it went on, but I still, because the reason why is because like I told you when I first watched this, I think the level of goriness, especially according to Ryan, which you can read his review on Facebook. Um, I think it's supposed to be a part of the shtick of the movie. Like, because the movie's not like this serious Stephen King movie, even though it's like based on one of his novellas or something like that. I think one of his short stories. So it's not supposed to be like a serious take on Stephen King like it or anything else like that. So Oz Perkins does do a different take where it's supposed to be kind of like lighthearted. It's not supposed to be like this serious type of movie. And so the outrageousness of like the kill scenes and the gore in this movie and the ridiculousness of some of this stuff, I think is supposed to be as part of the shtick. Does it come across like that? No. I think that's where it kind of fails. Is it like it doesn't because it becomes overly gory, it becomes more disgusting than it does for me. Excuse me. For me anyway, it becomes more disgusting than it does like funny. And I think that's what he was trying to kind of like this ironic, dry humor when it comes to this movie. Um, so it's just a little weird, especially like the very end. And we'll get that into like spoilers, but it's just like the very last shot of this movie was just kind of like, okay, okay, like we didn't really need that, I guess. Um, but I thought that like Theo James does like a good job of being like his character, his acting. Like I like Theo James. I think that he's a good actor, and I think that he does what he can with this movie, as well as he can with this movie. I thought that I always love Ms. Maslany. I think that she was a waste in this movie. Like you could have picked anybody in this movie to be that. But I think that her talent level was kind of wasted on this movie. I think that she tries to do a very like a good job with it. Um, but because her screen time is so short that it doesn't like you kind of just forget that it's her. Um, and then like how the story progresses is just so bizarre. Um, like how events start to happen is as bizarre as like the kill scenes that come into this movie. I like you couldn't really piece together like what was really happening because I think they were more focused on like the consequences or the outcome of what happens when this monkey stops um beating his drum instead of actually hitting the story beats of like what they were trying to do. Um so five, that's pushing it really.
Yeah, this movie is like very I would consider like junk food movie, obviously. If you go into this with any serious expectations, you're a little deaf tone, tone deaf, tone deaf. Um, because the best way I can describe this, and we were talking about this after you had just recently seen it, that this gives me Malignant vibes. And
Mhm.
anybody who's not seen Malignant, that's on Max. If you have that subscription, I highly recommend. That's probably the best 4 out of 10 movie you will ever watch in your life because it's so ridiculous and so absurdly fun. This tries to be that, and it's not, not in any way. It's you probably aren't super familiar with a bunch of SpongeBob scenes or anything like that, but this reminds me of a scene in SpongeBob where the Flying Dutchman, for some reason, I can't remember why, is bunking down with SpongeBob at his house and like he's haunting him all the time and scaring him. And after a certain point, he does all this ridiculous stuff and like SpongeBob's so used to it that he's like, a bunch of eyeballs in my cereal bowl, yawn. And then he's like doing all these crazy things. He makes himself into like this giant crazy centipede and things like that. And SpongeBob's just like, yeah. That's what these kill scenes and this plot made me feel like. Like, oh my gosh, we're gonna have this woman at a hibachi get her head sliced off. Cool. We're gonna have this woman jump into an electrified pool and she explodes. Cool. There were no shock factors. I just literally when that happened, I was like, I went,
Right.
give my sarcastic look to it.
Because they're ridiculous.
I will say there is a point of the movie where I was like, why are you doing that? If it's so bad when you do that, then stop doing that. And then the movie answers why that was happening. And I was like, okay, at least you did that. You get a little bit of redemption there because I was sitting there the whole time and I was like, why does this person have to do this because you keep doing this when you don't even have to do that at all? In fact, it's better if you don't do it at all. And I'm just like, this movie is stupid. And I'm like, and I kind of have a little bit of mixed feelings like this where when I did with that Nick Cage movie, Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, like because I can't
Mhm.
technically judge that movie too harshly because that movie sets out it is what it sets out to be, this dumb like making fun of Nick Cage kind of movie where it's not really that funny because it's I'm just like it was just okay. But that's kind of what it wanted to be. So I'm like, if that's what you set out to be, if I'm going to try and be, you know, a plumber and I'm a plumber, well, I can't judge you too harshly because you set your goals to what you achieved. So congratulations. I there's an actor, I can't remember who it was, but like who says maybe I think it was actually Colin Farrell who was like, we spend so much time and I don't want to produce a bad movie. Like I am in there to invest my time so that I can produce as good quality a film as I can. I don't think anybody can say this. I don't like doing a bad movie. This movie, nobody came out, nobody went into this thinking, you know what? We got the next, we got the next, I don't know, uh, Godfather here. They knew all what they were getting into. This movie's
Oh yeah.
dumb. This movie's massively stupid. And it's not, I mean, there's no funny part of it at all, in my opinion. The characters act sporadically, kind of for no reason. They're not interesting. There's a part where some woman's head's on fire, and it's just like, look at this crazy, ridiculous moment. Oh my gosh. And then this happens to her, and this happens to her. Look, guys, don't you see? I'm like, maybe I'm also desensitized by the fact that I did watch The Substance earlier this year, and nothing,
Yeah.
not a single thing on this planet probably could get me to be more squeamish than I was during that. Not that, I mean, this is gory. It's kind of gory for no reason. Um, it and things kind of advance, and they're for like not simplicity. What am I trying to for convenience? Like, oh yeah,
Mo-
because the thing can do this and the thing can do that. That's why it's here. I'm like,
Movie's got a movie.
yeah, movie's got a movie, and I'm like, okay, but why? And not that I need to know exactly why, because this is a stupid movie. This is this is Malignant level quality, but not with the ridiculous like. It's because it's also boring. Malignant was like at least entertaining. This was boring to me, and this is a 3 out of 10. 3 out of 10 for me. Um, I with all of this negativity, I will say that it is not near the worst movie I've seen. Not even this year. Um, that goes to I don't know if anybody watched our Love Hurts video, or did we even
We didn't
that
review fully
I
what love hurts, but
I was
we
gonna say
touched
I
on
don't
it.
even know if we even did that.
No.
So I'm like, so spoiler alert on that. Love Hurts is my number one crappy movie this year so far.
Yeah.
This is number two. Um, but I still don't like of all the movies I've ever seen, like, does it even crack the top 10 of like my worst movies? I don't think so. I don't think so. Not really by a long shot, but it's not good. It's not a good movie. Don't waste your time. I mean, it is only what, an hour and a half ish. So it's,
Hour and 40.
well, yeah. So, I mean, at least it knows not to be super long, but I'm like, Theo James has done better stuff. And, I've been talking about, watching Castlevania, and he was one of the main characters in that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I am familiar with some of his work. Just like, oh man, this was a misstep for the Oz. Misstep. Yeah, this 3 out of 10. Not a good movie. Don't waste your time. I mean, if you absolutely love horror junk food kind of movies, then and you know that going into it, sure, have all the fun in the world. I don't need to invest any more time in this or thought into this. So yeah, it is. And the plot, like the movie, obviously does not take itself seriously at all. So I'm like, why should I? So I'm like, I'm good. So
Funny,
that was a monkey.
it got a 79% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Why?
So I don't know.
I'm a I usually pride myself on being within somewhere around like a like a half point or maybe a full point of like within the general audience review. Like I'm like if I give it a six, and most people think it's seven, I'm like, okay, I'm in that range. But I'm like, I guess this is just where Matt has often told me that he's like, you're just a straight shooter. You don't like a lot of fluff. Like you don't like a lot of like
Oh, bluff.
yeah, I want like a direction. I want there to be some serious tone. Like, yes, have some humor in there, but like I need some continual direction where this
Right.
doesn't have that and not even close. So yeah, 3 out of 10. It is not the worst thing you could ever watch in your life. If you are, like I said, if you're a horror person who needs like a junk food type movie where you just
Yeah.
need to kill a little bit of time and you're like, okay, this looks ridiculous, check it out. But don't expect, the greatest piece of cinema ever. So, you know, yeah.
So let's do a little spoilers.
Okay.
Because I mean um yeah, there are some like I will say that watching it in your theater, what was funny is that the aunt's death scene where she gets like this is the person that got her hair on fire and she ran to the house
Oh,
and when
yes, yes,
she
yes. That was it. Yep.
so she gets like stabbed through her face by her lawn sign, her for sale lawn
Yeah,
sign.
the realtor sign. Yeah.
Yeah, the realtor sign. So somebody did actually yell out in that scene. I thought that was pretty funny. Somebody's sitting behind me and like the
And they went,
back.
oh,
Yeah. So that was pretty funny.
see,
However,
that's a kind of a little bit of a cheat code because it's like that's audience and maybe maybe that's something that this movie needed for me, like a little bit like, oh, some like not what are the riff tracks or something like that, where the guys are just
right.
making fun. Maybe I needed that, but yeah,
I don't know. I so going into spoilers, I don't know why. Okay, so my first, as you like to say, bugaboo about this movie is that if he's so concerned about people being in his life, why does he have a kid? Like,
yeah,
why are you procreating, first of all? Um, like, why are you getting into relationships if you're so afraid of like people that you love getting hurt or dying because of this thing? Why are you getting into a relationship, first of all? Second of all, like, if if his brother, because like his brother like finds out that like he figures out that he's the one that kind of like killed their mom, right?
hmm
Why is it taking you 25 years? I mean, I know that they say that he's looking for this toy or whatever, but like, how did you even find the toy? That's what I want to know, because it never says, does it?
yeah, it teleports it like um yeah, I don't know how he found out about it because it was at like some type of like estate sale and some guy bought it and then he must have come across the guy. Like the brother came across and found that guy. He's like, "What is that? What is that?" And the guy's like, "I don't know." And I'm like, "Yeah." I was more my bugaboo was about why is Elijah Wood in this to be a stepdad for a 2 minute scene? Why is Adam Scott in this to be in the like 1 minute opening that doesn't even like make any sense in my opinion? Like they maybe that the I mean, I guess it does make sense later on because that scene supposed I couldn't tell if that scene was supposed to happen like later on after the events of the movie, or that was like that happened before, and then the monkey, came back into existence, like reincarnated itself or whatever, and then found its way into their dad's stuff. I don't know. I didn't understand that opening scene, and and Adam Scott's in there, and I'm just like, pretty sure that's Adam Scott. I didn't know he was in this movie. Oh, he's not really in this movie. He's just there for. I'm like, they must have just been like walking by the set, and you know, Perkins is like, "Oh, dude, you want to be in this? I got a scene for you. Come on, man. Let's just 5 minutes of your time."
I think it was a bunch of Canadian actors too, because I know that Tatiana Maslany is actually Canadian. Like, she's Canadian. She's a Canadian actor, and I know that the aunt is Sarah Levy, who is like Daniel Levy and
Oh yeah,
Eugene Levy. That's his daughter, and so he
uh-huh,
was like she's on Schitt's Creek.
yeah.
So I know she's a Canadian actor. So I don't know if these were just like a bunch of Canadian actors that they were like, hey, let's get together and make a movie or whatever. I know Theo James is English, so I know that's not like a thing, but like I think most of the actors in there were actually Canadian. So maybe that's why. I don't know.
I don't
But
know.
yeah,
That was my bugaboo of having, and I just was like, and then I'm like, what? Why is? I mean, I know his brother just bullies him, and I'm like that, whatever. And I'm just like, he doesn't really totally say why. And like, I mean, not that he necessarily has a reason because boys are dumb, and he's at that age where he's even dumber, And I'm just like, but like he keeps. Oh, you know what really like made me mad for a second? Like that whole like cliche, like, hey, ooh, kind of thing that he kept
yeah,
doing. And then it happens like towards the end of the movie, and I'm just like, I want this to end so bad. I hated that. I'm just like, it just kind of summarizes the movie in like one gesture. Is like, oh man, here's a ooh, like that's not a good movie at all. Like, okay, we know it's not a good movie, but at least it'll be entertaining. Ooh, like it's just gonna be really boring and just have gory, over the top scenes for no reason. I'm trying to
yeah.
think of what like, and like even the like have some realty. I know it's about a killer robot monkey toy thing, but like the whole I did laugh. I don't even know if I laughed. Maybe internally I laughed at the whole, he that one guy who uh the guy who the guy with the bangs in his face and that bought the
Oh, yeah,
monkey,
yeah.
and he's like holding the guy's like him and his son and like telling the nephew to go in there. And there's like the hornet's nest, and the hornets just like literally fly like thousands of them fly
Yeah.
into his mouth, and I was just like, okay, sure.
Yeah. I
And
was like,
wh-
there's where they're going.
so, and that wasn't even as ridiculous as Theo James's character, which apparently was Hal, by the way. Um, I
That's right, Hal and Bill.
Hal and Bill,
Yeah.
and he he really asks him, "Are you a cop?" And I'm like, he looks like he does drugs daily, man. He
Right.
is. Are you seriously asking him that? And I mean, the character does say, "No, of course not." I'm like, he should have never asked that. There's no way he's a cop. I'm like, how dumb are you? And I'm like, yeah. So this is definitely a movie that doesn't technically deserve all this criticism because it knows what it wants to be. It wants to be this dumb, cheesy, kind of just popcorn munching, stupid movie. But I'm like,
Mhm.
hey, I mean, if you enter the Thunderdome, you're gonna get struck. So that movie is absolutely stupid. And it's so like stupid and boringly stupid. It's not even like entertaining. I keep talking about Malignant, but at least that was so ridiculous. Like, this is ridiculous. This concept's ridiculous. This is a bad movie, but this is so much fun. This was not fun. It's not even. It's not fun. The death scenes are like, oh, look at me, look, the leg's gonna. I remembered as soon as you told me, I was like, I was like, oh, that thing's about to jump, fall in the water. Oh no, she's about, and then she jumps in, like, and even like if it actually did kill her, I don't think it would explode her like that, and obviously
Oh,
it wouldn't. I was like, just a leg just going
yeah. I was like,
like
what is that? Okay.
that. I think because you pre pre told me that, I was like, okay, um, this movie just like. And then how many times are we gonna see like somebody has some type of like secret like door that has a shotgun that whoever immediately opens it I was like, that happened like 3 times. I was like, okay, now it's dumb, boring, and lazy. Boo, this movie.
Boo. Yeah. I mean my like the very last scene was like stupid too. Like with the cheerleaders and their all their
Oh,
heads.
I didn't even understand that. I completely forgot about it. And I was like, I need him to tell me what scene he was talking about. I think I was more or less checked out. You know, no, you know what's the most offensive part about this movie? I don't know if you stayed long enough to watch it. It's not even technically in the movie. The credits come up, and there's a freaking plug for his next film, which I don't even remember what it was called because I didn't care at
I
that
don't
point. I
even,
just was like, "You, sir, are ballsy. You expect me to come back after this piece of crap? What? Ah, gosh,
well, I mean he has a good one and then he has a bad one. And maybe
yeah.
this next one's gonna be good. So because he
I'm
did
I'm
direct
gonna
Longlegs.
I'm gonna look it up while we're still talking about it. Oh yeah, and then he did Gretel and Hansel. Um,
Mhm.
oh, Keeper, that's what it's called. Keeper.
Keeper. That's right.
So, I mean, I'll get now. I was told not to watch Long Legs because of my personal preference for movies, and Gretel and Hansel did not
Yeah.
look my kind of thing. So I'm good. Maybe he's just not my. Maybe he and I just don't see the same way, and that's okay. That's okay. So I wish him the best. Hey, maybe the next movie will be a keeper.
Ah, maybe.
So.
Maybe. Okay. Um, I think we're done with this movie. This movie is stupid. Okay. I'm not entirely sure what actually comes out this week except for Last Breath. Um,
Mhm.
I don't think there's anything else coming out.
Um,
Um,
so
so
this week is this week is Just Breathe. Um, which I don't know if anybody's lining up to see a review about that. I will be watching it at some point. I'm gonna be taking my dad at some point to see it. So I mean, we absolutely can review it. Or we can take a little bit of a hiatus and wait until Mickey 17 the following week.
which is the seventh, right?
Hmm.
Seventh or eighth.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
that's what my vote. I think that we should take a hiatus this week, unless something like major happens. Like Marvel drops some new stuff or some news or Star Wars
Hmm.
drops some more news or whatever. Um, I think that we'll take a hiatus for next week. And I'll get these out and posted. But yeah, we'll come back for because also that week Daredevil comes out next week. Next Tuesday
Ah,
actually.
yes.
So
There
Daredevil
you
Born
go.
Again comes out. So I will be watching that. You don't have to, but I will be giving my review of the first couple episodes. I think it's a 2 episode premiere, which Disney has been doing. I think there's only 6 or 7 episodes of this season because I know that they're splitting it into 2 seasons. So I'm excited. I'm excited for Mickey 17 because I've heard a lot of good things about it. So let's take a hiatus and we'll come back with Mickey 17.
And then it'll give us
Cool.
time to hunt down Ryan.
And hunt down Ryan, which we have confirmed he is not dead. So we have confirmed this. Um, he has, well, somebody has been making text messages from his phone, so we believe it is him. We're
Who
confident that
also
it is
is
him.
bad reviewing movies.
Yes, he is reviewing bad movies. So, we do miss you, Ryan. So, like I said, we have confirmed that he is alive. So, all right. Well, if you don't have anything else, no?
Mm-mm.
Cool. So, guys, please give us a like. Please leave us a comment and subscribe to our channel. So, because we love doing this, and we want to hear from you guys as much as we can. Okay. So until after the 7th of March, we'll see you.